your daily dose. Like and subscribe.
Did you know that in 1917, women were literally paid to poison themselves to death every single day? At the U.S. Radium Corporation in Orange, New Jersey, dozens of young women painted watch dials with glowing radium paint. Their supervisors taught them to lick their paintbrushes to create perfect fine points for the delicate work. What they didn't know was that radium was one of the most deadly substances on Earth. The managers knew the truth. They wore lead shields and used protective equipment while telling the women it was completely safe. Within months, the women's teeth began falling out. Their jaws cracked and crumbled like old wood. Their bones literally disintegrated from the inside as the radium ate through their bodies. When they tried to sue, the company hired doctors to lie about their condition and intimidated them into silence. Dozens died horrible deaths before the truth came out. Their lawsuit changed worker safety laws forever, but it came too late for the women who trusted their employers. Corporate greed had consumed them from within. What if Stalin had launched his planned invasion of Western Europe immediately after defeating Nazi Germany in 1945? 4 million battle-hardened Soviet troops were positioned across war-torn Germany, ready to push toward the English Channel. The exhausted Allied forces had no chance against this massive red wave. Britain and America faced an impossible choice: launch nuclear strikes on Soviet cities or watch Europe fall completely. The Red Army would have reached the Atlantic within weeks, forcing mass evacuations from London. Stalin would control all European industrial capacity, including captured Nazi rocket technology. A communist continent stretching from Siberia to Portugal would emerge overnight. America would be isolated across the Atlantic, facing a nuclear-armed Soviet empire. The balance of world power would shift permanently eastward. Declassified documents reveal Stalin seriously considered this exact plan. Only one thing stopped him: America's atomic monopoly. The Cold War could have ended before it even began, with Soviet victory. Did you know Bruce Lee practiced a death meditation every single day that he credited for his fearless fighting ability? Every morning, the martial arts legend would lie completely still for 20 minutes, visualizing his own death in vivid detail. He'd imagine every sensation, every breath leaving his body, until the fear of mortality completely disappeared. This wasn't just Bruce being dramatic. It was an ancient Taoist practice called death contemplation. By facing his deepest fear daily, he rewired his brain's fear response system entirely. When opponents tried to intimidate him, nothing worked. He'd already died 1,000 times in his mind. Modern neuroscientists have now proven this technique reduces anxiety by 70% and increases performance under pressure. Here's Bruce's exact 3-step process. First, lie down and close your eyes. Second, visualize your death in complete detail for 20 minutes. Third, return to life with zero fear. The man who faces death daily becomes truly unstoppable in life. Did you know a high school teacher risked everything to expose coaches selling fake grades for $100,000 per student? Tyler Martinez had taught English for 12 years at Lincoln High, believing every student deserved real education. But in 2019, he noticed something strange about the star athletes' transcripts. Failing students suddenly had perfect grades right before college recruitment season. He dug deeper and found dozens of cases where coaches were paid massive bribes to fabricate academic records. These students were being set up for disaster, destined to flunk out after one semester, while coaches got rich. When Tyler tried to report it, the administration threatened his job. "Focus on winning championships, not paperwork," the principal warned. But Tyler had seen too much. Students' futures were being destroyed for profit. He gathered evidence and presented it to the state education board, knowing he'd likely be fired. The investigation led to criminal charges against 5 coaches and restored scholarships for 37 students. Tyler was promoted to District Academic Integrity Coordinator. His courage saved an entire generation from educational fraud. Did you know a Japanese man found his life's purpose at 45 after 3 heart attacks? Hiroshi Tanaka worked 16-hour days in a Tokyo corporate tower, living on coffee and cigarettes. After his 3rd heart attack, he stood on a subway platform, seriously considering ending it all. That's when he met Kenji, an 80-year-old Okinawan man who noticed his despair. Kenji taught him the 4-circle Ikigai method: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. For 30 days, Hiroshi explored his forgotten passions and rediscovered his childhood love of pottery. The next 30 days, he volunteered at community centers, teaching stressed workers to find peace through clay. In the final 30 days, he aligned his newfound purpose with practical reality. On day 90, he walked into his boss's office and quit. Today, he runs a pottery school in rural Japan, teaching others to find their ikigai. Every morning, he asks himself, "What brings me joy today? How can I serve others?" Purpose saved his life. Did you know that during the 2008 financial crisis, one accountant discovered her own company was stealing $45 million from employee retirement accounts? Rosa Martinez was a corporate accountant at Meridian Financial, performing routine audits of employee 401k accounts. While everyone blamed the stock market crash for their losses, Rosa noticed something strange in the numbers. Money wasn't just disappearing into market losses, it was being transferred to executive bonus accounts. For weeks, she traced the transactions late into the night, discovering a sophisticated scheme. 3,000 workers thought they'd lost their retirement savings to the crash, but executives were stealing it. When her boss discovered her investigation, he offered her a promotion to stay quiet. Then came the threats. Criminal charges for accessing confidential files. Rosa faced a choice: advance her career or save her co-workers' futures. She copied the evidence and walked straight to the FBI. Within months, the executives were in federal prison and the stolen money returned. Rosa became the company's new ethics officer, her integrity saving thousands of families. Did you know that a weather balloon almost started World War III? On January 25, 1995, Russian President Boris Yeltsin was jolted awake at 4 a.m. His military advisors were screaming into the phone about an incoming ballistic missile heading straight for Moscow. Russian radar had detected what looked like a Trident missile launched from a submarine near Norway. Yeltsin grabbed the nuclear briefcase, his hands shaking as he prepared to launch thousands of warheads at the United States. The countdown began. Launch codes were being verified. Missiles were powering up across Russia. For 8 terrifying minutes, the world balanced on the edge of nuclear annihilation. Then Russian radar confirmed the truth. The missile was flying away from Russia, not toward it. It was just a scientific rocket studying the northern lights. NATO had simply forgotten to tell Russia about the launch. A simple communication failure had brought humanity within minutes of ending civilization. One phone call could have prevented it all. Did you know America's most wanted criminal was created by prison guards who tortured inmates for fun? In 1930, 20-year-old Clyde Barrow arrived at Eastham Prison Farm in Texas for stealing cars. What seemed like a normal correctional facility was actually a house of horrors. Guards used the BAT system, beating prisoners unconscious with thick leather straps for any reason. Clyde worked 14-hour days in 100-degree heat, slept in barracks crawling with rats and disease. He watched guards murder inmates just for entertainment, shooting men who tried to rest. The torture broke something inside him. He couldn't take another day of hell. So Clyde made a desperate choice. He convinced another prisoner to help him escape work detail. The man raised an axe high above Clyde's foot. The blade came down hard, chopping clean through 2 toes. Blood poured across the prison floor as Clyde screamed in agony. But his plan worked. He avoided the worst labor until his release. That prison turned a petty car thief into Bonnie and Clyde, America's most notorious bank robbers. Did you know the FBI's most trusted spy hunter was actually working for Russia the entire time? For 22 years, Robert Hansen walked into FBI headquarters every morning, hunting Soviet spies. But every night, he was secretly selling America's deepest secrets to Moscow. On February 18, 2001, he drove to Foxstone Park in Virginia to collect $50,000 in cash from a dead drop. The same routine he'd followed for decades. He had already betrayed dozens of American agents, sending them to torture chambers and execution sites across Russia. Every morning he attended Catholic Mass, praying like a devoted family man. Then he'd return to his office and sell classified documents for over $1.4 million. He even lectured younger agents about loyalty and patriotism. But the FBI was closing in. Too many operations had been compromised. As Hansen reached for the money that cold February night, agents surrounded him. The most trusted guardian of American secrets had been destroying the intelligence community from within. His own colleagues had been watching him for months. Here are 5 things you didn't know about China's hidden slavery nightmare. First, in 2022, a woman was discovered chained in a freezing shed in Suzhou, China. She had given birth to 8 children while imprisoned for decades. Second, she was trafficked and sold for $2,000 to a rural farmer. He kept her as a breeding slave, locked away from the world. Third, local authorities knew about her situation for years. They ignored countless reports from concerned villagers who tried to help. Fourth, she suffered severe mental breakdown from decades of abuse and starvation. When found, she couldn't speak properly or recognize her own children. Fifth, when the story exploded on social media, the Chinese government panicked. They deleted millions of posts and silenced whistleblowers trying to spread awareness. Investigations later revealed this wasn't isolated. Thousands of women were similarly enslaved across rural China in a massive trafficking network. The systematic cover-up showed how deep this modern slavery really goes. Here are 5 things you didn't know about Jordan Peterson's life rules that could change everything. First, his most shocking rule about standing up straight comes from 350 million years of evolutionary science. Lobsters and humans share the same dominance hierarchy brain circuits. When you slouch, your brain literally thinks you're defeated and floods you with stress hormones. Second, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Research shows we're more compassionate to strangers than ourselves, creating massive psychological damage. Third, toxic relationships don't just hurt your feelings, they rewire your brain chemistry. Peterson says surround yourself only with people who genuinely want your success. Fourth, never compare yourself to others, only to who you were yesterday. This single shift eliminates most depression and anxiety instantly. Fifth, pursue meaning over convenience every single day. Peterson recommends cleaning your room, telling the truth, and doing one difficult thing daily. These aren't just self-help tips. They're backed by decades of clinical psychology research.
Your daily dose. Like and subscribe.